From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is U.S. Farm Report.
It's the grand finale, our final Beck's U.S. Farm Report College Roadshow from Fighting Illini territory. We have a lot in store over the next 60 minutes from right here at the University of Illinois. Pavement and fuel powered by pig manure.
This whole process is go through the reactor in half an hour to an hour's time.
A researcher helping winter wheat gain ground right here in Illinois.
We're making wheat more profitable for growers.
Drowned out fields to historic heat.
I think there's going to be some phenomenal cotton this year, and we're also going to have some stuff that's fairly disappointing.
A peek at cotton harvest in Georgia and in John's world.
Harvest homestretch.
The 2023 U.S. Farm Report College Roadshow from the University of Illinois is brought to you exclusively by Beck's. From farmers' first pass in the field to the final one at harvest, it's a game plan rooted in faith and belief. Beck's Hybrids is with you every turn because both on and off the field, we're all farmers at heart. See why at beckshybrids.com.
Now for the news, a big report week from USDA as harvest nears an end. First, the agency releasing its latest supply and demand numbers. USDA making a larger than expected adjustment to the national corn yield, raising it by nearly 2 bushels per acre from the October report. The national yield estimate is now at 174.9 bushels per acre. USDA also increasing the soybean yield forecast just by 0.3 bushels per acre to 49.9 bushels per acre. And the cotton yield forecast also seeing an increase, the agency pegging the national cotton yield at 793 pounds per acre, up 16 pounds from last month. Matt Bennett of agmarket.net says while that big of an increase in corn yield isn't typical for this time of year, ending stocks did not rise as much as expected since USDA also boosted demand.
Corn demand going up 125 million bushels wasn't necessarily what I thought was going to happen. Feed and residual usage up 50 seems a little steep to me, quite frankly. Exports up as well. You know, you've got ethanol up. And so all of those seem to be maybe a little bit more than what I thought. It's almost like they wanted to keep the balance sheet from changing a whole lot as far as the bottom line was concerned.
Bennett says it was less of a story in soybeans. USDA did make that small increase to yield and production, but the agency did not touch demand. Now the big question is whether the South American weather situation can continue to cause such volatility in the soybean market. While harvest is wrapping up in many parts of the country, that's not the case in Michigan. The harvest pace there is lagging well behind normal and last year in this fall, as we found out in this week's I-80 harvest stop.
The I-80 Harvest Tour on U.S. Farm Report is brought to you by Case IH. The Farmall has been an iconic partner on the farm for generations. Come celebrate a century of Farmall. The one for all with us at farmall100.com. And by AGI. At AGI, we spend a lot of time focused on product details, making sure you can store your grain how you need to and move it when you need to. Learn more at aggrowth.com.
The growing season was wet in main row crop production areas of the state. That's extended into the fall as rains have been keeping farmers out of the field. Corn harvest is only 40% complete. That's 14 points behind the 5-year average and 18 points behind last year. The corn is also wet, so farmers either have to wait for the corn to dry in the field or they're putting it through the grain dryer, which is causing bottlenecks.
We didn't expect the wet weather because we work a day, or the farmers work a day, then we sit for 5 days. So it's been a tough fall. We're just getting into corn. Moisture's coming in at 22 to 28. Normally this time of year, we'd be looking at 19, 20% corn, and we'd be wrapping up, but we're behind.
Soybean harvest in Michigan is 70% complete, which is just 4 points behind normal, but 17 points slower than 2022. Lang Mack says corn yields are averaging around 165 to 170 bushels per acre in his area. Soybean yields, those are variable, ranging anywhere from 35 to 75 bushels per acre. And in another important decision that could help lower the price on some fertilizers. The U.S. Commerce Department announcing it's lowering duties placed on phosphate fertilizers imported from Morocco. They would move from almost 20% down to just over 2%. The tariffs started in 2021 after a petition from Mosaic to impose duties on phosphate imported from Morocco and Russia. Mosaic had claimed that unfairly subsidized foreign companies were flooding the U.S. market with cheap fertilizer. It says it's disappointed by the ruling and is considering its next steps. Syngenta says it's investigating the next steps in response to Arkansas ordering a divestiture of 160 acres of farmland in the state due to foreign ownership. Last month, as we first told you, Arkansas's Attorney General gave Northrop King Seed Company 2 years to sell its farmland owned in Craighead County. It comes after the state legislature passed a law that restricts certain foreign party-controlled businesses from having private land in Arkansas. Northrop is a division of Syngenta Seeds, which is owned by Kim China, which is a Chinese state-owned company. The head of Syngenta North America telling Farm Journal's Clinton Griffiths that nothing illegal has taken place on that farm, and they're still working on next steps.
Will this require Syngenta to sell that farm?
We're working through that right now with the government officials. And so we're putting the right plans in place to be able to have options to help serve farmers based upon whatever the outcome is going to be. The EPA and the USDA many times require us to do work and permitting right in the same state as we're going to sell product. So one of the first things we have to make sure that we figure out here is how do we work with the local community to make sure that we're still getting products tested in their backyard so that we have the ability to be able to sell those products.
According to USDA, roughly 380,000 acres in the U.S. are owned by Chinese businesses or investors, or less than 1% of total foreign-owned farmland. That's it for the news. What a warm-up across the country this week. We'll have a check of your weather coming up next.
Your next piece of equipment is on MachineryPete.com. Search equipment from dealerships across the country to find what you're looking for. Only on MachineryPete.com.